Okay. This morning I'll be talking about a koan, Hyakujo's Fox. This is from the Mumonkan, the Gateless Gate, Case 2. One day, Zen Master Hyakujo gave a Dharma talk. When the assembly had dispersed, an old man lingered. Hyakujo asked, "Who are you?" The old man replied, "I am not a human being. In a distant past, I was the abbot of this monastery. One day a student asked me, 'Does a person of great practice fall under the law of cause and effect?' I answered, 'No. Such a person does not fall under the law of cause and effect.' For this answer, I was reborn for 500 lives as a fox. Now, Master, I beg you, please say a turning word to release me from this fox body." Hyakujo replied, "The person of great practice does not evade cause and effect. The person of great practice does not evade cause and effect." At these words, the old man was freed. He bowed and vanished. Later, Hyakujo had the body of a dead fox buried as a priest. All right. Well, now I'll give a little bit of a book report so you have context on Hyakujo and the fox, and then I'll talk about it. So, Hyakujo Eke lived in 8th century China. He was a student of Zen Master Mazu, and he was famous for creating the structures of Zen monasteries, the internal disciplinary structures. But more than his rules or his discipline, Hyakujo was known for making Zen practical. Okay. For him, enlightenment was not an escape. It was washing rice, it was chopping wood, it was living in such harmony with life that nothing was left out. He taught a day without work is a day without food. I believe that if Hyakujo were alive today, he would not be a monastic hiding out in the woods. He might be running a Zen center in the middle of the city and getting his hands dirty in the yard. But what about the fox? In Japanese folklore, the fox, or kitsune, is a shapeshifter. It can be clever and cunning. It can look like a sage one moment and a trickster the next. And this is exactly how our minds work. We turn wisdom into ego and ego into delusion without even noticing. The fox in this koan isn't just an animal. It's a metaphor for what happens to us when we misuse the Dharma. It's what happens when we turn spiritual practice into a way to feel superior. This is not a story about a fox, nor is it about punishment and redemption. Overtly, this koan speaks to spiritual materialism and the trap of pride. Undoubtedly, this koan is about karma. The old abbot said confidently, one who is enlightened does not fall under cause and effect. Perhaps he thought himself exempt from karma, but enlightenment is not immunity. Karma is not something you believe in or escape from. Karma is how the universe breathes. Cause and effect are the underpinnings of our lives. If you plant a seed, a flower can bloom or a weed can grow. If we act with anger, wounds are opened. When you fully sit zazen, peace and equanimity will be cultivated. Even the Buddhas and the ancestors walk with the karmic web of interdependence. So nobody escapes karma. When Hyakujo said he does not evade cause and effect, he was not saying the enlightened are bound to karma like captives. He was pointing to an intimacy. An enlightened person lives within cause and effect, not as a victim. Not as one trying to escape, but as a being who conducts themselves with ease and is unfettered by the manifestations of form. Hyakujo's turning word was not an explanation, it was a portal. And the old man, in hearing the truth, immediately dropped his delusion and exited his fox body. This correct understanding set the old abbot free. Now you tell me, which answer is correct? Does not fall under cause and effect, or does not evade cause and effect? If you say one is right and the other wrong, you too may find yourself growing a furry tail if you say both are right, you've missed the point. And if you say neither are correct, you're clinging to silence. The way is not found in answers, it is revealed in your intimate response. Karma affects our lives each and every day. At work, you may have a lapse in the quality of your work if you lose focus. These things come back on us. This is not because the universe is punishing you. This is because our reality is seamlessly intermeshed with cause and effect. In our relationships, if we do not communicate with our partner, with silence, the distance grows. This too is cause and effect. With our health, if we do not eat properly, get enough sleep and exercise, it's no mystery why we might have detrimental health issues. This is also cause and effect. This isn't meant to be didactic or moralistic. This is a universal law. Buddha nature is a precursor to existence. Cause and effect aren't the byproduct of the machinations of our small minds. Karma is like gravity, and it's not controlled. As this koan tells us, it's not optional either. When you see this clearly, karma stops being a threat and becomes a liberation. You stop asking, how do I escape? And instead ask, How do I live so fully and authentically that I don't need to escape? That's Hyakujo's turning word. Hyakujo's teachings cut through all of it. You don't outrun cause and effect, you live it. The modern seeker wants enlightenment like a blue check mark. We want suffering to end without truly making an effort at seeing things as they are. We want to be free. We want freedom as a society. But do we? Can we be free if we are not accountable to our actions? Can we be free if we don't understand our twisted karma? Can we be free if we don't even accept the principle of karma? It seems as if society wants karma to be optional, like terms and conditions that are never read and only enforced when they work in our favor. But we don't get to pick and choose. Zen doesn't sell immunity, it sells nothing. It resides in emptiness. And guess what? So do you. A true practitioner doesn't evade cause and effect. They confront their lives head on, they own their karma, and therefore own their actions. Stripping themselves free of past actions that create ripples in our lives. So when someone asks, does awakening mean you transcend karma? Do not transgress with your cleverness. Instead, look them in the eye and ask, who is it that's asking? So, does a person of great practice fall under the law of cause and effect? Well, if your answer sounds smart, throw it out. If it sounds incorrect and you feel it like fire in your belly, then still, you should throw it out. Now, with no answer in mind and no idea, thank you.
A great talk.
Thanks.
Hyakujo is great.
Yeah, that's a fun koan. So,
I'm going to step into the mud puddle here. It sounds at first like we are pushed into a corner based on our concepts, that we don't understand karma correctly, I guess would be the way to say it, but that if we dwell on any myth in any way, we're wasting our time. The best thing is to realize that we live our lives, and lives, actions have consequences, good or bad is just a judgment term, but that we can't analyze it, we can't question it as much as just accept that life is what it is and we live it to the best of our abilities. And that puts an awful lot of rationality into this question, so I'll stop there.
well, we can't control our own karma, but we could change our karma. And this is, following the Eightfold Path is the karmic way to end suffering, right? But people think, karma is something they can control or bad luck or blah, blah, blah. And, it's, this buzzword, but, what is it? And what karma was he working out? Was he working out the karma of this life? Was it just that terrible misjudgment on his part that made him a fox for 500 lives? Was it his hubris, his pride in his spiritual accomplishment that he was now exempt from karma? What is it? What is this misunderstanding? What is it? Because it is, I see it like gravity. I see it as a universal law. So I accept it wholeheartedly. And I know I can't control it, but I know that my actions can manifest, maybe an ease of suffering in others' lives. And in turn, that will make our life and my life easier.
May I?
Sure, Mark.
I'm not so sure being a fox for 500 lives would be all that bad. It might pass pretty fast. But I understand the situation is that the old priest made the mistake of answering the question, because the mistake is, as you said, answering the question either or, as you put it that way. So when you do that, you create a conception of laws of nature, and laws of nature or the universe are our own fabrications. We only experience this in the now. We live this in the now. And when we stay in the now, then we are experiencing cause and effect. We really experience it. And when we echo off that, we lose it. And when we try to answer it at a conceptual idea, do we have it or not? In the question, he fails the test because he is conceptualizing and not living in the moment. So that's my, let's say, breakdown of this.
So which one is it? Exempt from karma or falls under karma?
Moo.
So it's your intention that if the teacher had been asked all those many years ago, does an enlightened person fall under cause and effect? And he said, yes, they do fall under cause and effect. He would still have gotten 500 lifetimes as a fox.
Precisely, as you put it, Spencer, and I think you're onto something with the way you've expressed it. I really do think you got to the heart of it. And I really appreciate that, because this did go further than as I used to understand this koan, and this has depth of what you're saying is that we really, this is the whole idea of a koan. The whole idea is you get caught in a mental framework, and the koan is supposed to break you out of it. The sound of one hand clapping is one. Buddha face, sun face, Buddha face, moon face, Buddha face. I probably have that backwards, but from what I understand, we don't do that many koan practices here in our Zendo. We used to do that more.
But no one's ever really presented a koan. But the two things are the interpretation of the koan, right?
Yes, but
which we went into, which is all this interesting stuff.
Yeah.
And then just the expression of the koan. The expression of the koan is beyond all that. So the expression of the koan is, how would you express cause and effect? And
there is no word for cause and effect.
Well, there is no word for cause and effect. So with no mind, how do you express cause and effect? That's the thing. Because all of this rationale is just pablo.
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay. How do we express it beyond that? Because that's what this koan is on both sides. So on the side of form, we have all this interest about karma and this discussion of karma and Hyakujo and this habit. But on the other side, we just have this principle that applies equally to everything that we know, whether we have language or not. It's applied, right? Whether you believe it or not, it's applied.
Yes.
So whether you have language or not, it's expressed. But the answer to this is not expressed in language. So
Wonderful. So we got to it. I think you're right. You
So-
answered your own question to me.
well, no, I'm just backing into it, you know, in the many ways. So you're right that in the moment, if he was insincere and just answered the question to be right, he might be a fox, but we don't know. But
May I interject something?
Sure.
The core of what you're talking about is no man is above the law. No man is above, or any being is above the law, but the law is cause and effect. And when we make up a law, well, is that truly a law or a mental conception? And it,
I think that's maybe the difference between law, as we understand it in our society, and dharma, which is like a universal law, like you know, the Higgs boson or gravity or what have you, is that our laws are, you know, pale in comparison to dharma or law or Tao or the way, and no one. I mean, to say that someone can escape cause and effect is a misconception from the get-go, because we have no separation from each other. We have no separation from cause and effect. Cause and effect is as intimately a part of the experience unfolding at all times, which includes everything, as any other part of it. And there's actually not a differentiation between matter, the matter type of experience, and the thoughts type of experience, or the physics type of experience, or the karma type of experience. It's all just really just one, you know, the blanket thing from the I Heart Huckabees. You ever see that movie? It's a good movie.
oh, yeah.
I forget which collection this is from, but there's another translation of this koan. And I really like the turning word that he gives in that one, where he says, "The law of cause and effect is as clear as noonday." So he doesn't actually say an enlightened person falls under it. He doesn't say an enlightened person evades it. All he says is, it's as clear as noonday. It is the most obvious thing in the world.
well, but you know, we also have to respect that the Dharma is paradoxical and the writings are paradoxical. And if you read like Bodhidharma by Red Pine, all he does is speak about how the Buddha is exempt from karma and walks alone in his this unconditioned existence, but everything is conditioned. The thing is that the Buddha is not affected by it. He plays with its karma. He's part of karma. You're part of the karma. But right now, where all this affects us. But you know, and karma is a more tricky philosophical question. You know, how does karma relate to the absolute and consciousness? Like if you had this comparison with three categories, you know, which one's common? Are they common? You know, it's interesting. As universal laws go in Buddhism, right? Like the absolute, you know, a lot of times we speak of the same thing, but maybe within form or within emptiness. So that's would be the difference between absolute and emptiness, right? But to me, those distinctions are really interesting.
Yeah.
I get the impression that being aware of it, cause and effect, is a lot different than conceiving cause and effect, in the sense that, okay, cause and effect is, like Chris was saying, it's a Buddha Dharma law, but that's as far as we go with it, because we don't have the ability to really grasp what it is, but we do know our actions have consequences.
Yeah, we do, and we deny it. And you always hear people say, "Oh man, I messed up." You know, when you created some messy karma, right? We know that, but we deny it. And we create much subtler karma all day, like little ripples in a pond. And we think those don't come back on us, but it all comes back on us. So, it's our demeanor and how we conduct ourselves, those 1,000 little things we do each day, because that's who we authentically are. So like if you help an old lady across the street, that's great, but the rest of the day you kick dogs, it wouldn't matter. So, but if you were just a genuinely good person, that is your karma, and that comes back, and that is what the Bodhisattva mission is, right? And that is the karma, and that is the karma that creates awakening.
I think, whoops.
I'll just say real quick, does that go back to then compassion puts us in a position where we don't add unnecessary karma to our lives in a way, if you're, like you say, you help an old lady, but you go out and kick dogs. Okay, well, you're being compassionate to the lady, but you kick the dog. Okay, there's no compassion in the kicking of the dog, but helping the lady is compassion. Is compassion, for lack of a better word, a controller of karma?
I think, again, compassion is who we authentically are at the bedrock of our existence. When everything else strips away and we realize that that's who we are, it's hard, but then we have no choice but to manifest good karma, because there's nothing in the way. This ickiness, this self that's in the way, that has self-interest, that's gone. So all you will do is help others and manifest good. And that manifestation in the moment is powerful. And it's not, and again, it's about being authentically that. So, if you pretended like you were spiritually something but weren't, okay, great. But, at the end of the day, you got, your karma is your karma. And it's going to catch up with you and your actions in this life. And you're happier if you're kind to people. It's a miserable existence, being miserable to people. Think how good we feel when we do things for others.
I like the Peter quote that says something like, the more we do Zazen, the more we realize that the only thing that's really pleasurable in life is behaving as a bodhisattva. Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
One, I think sort of rudimentary takeaway or lesson learned on the subject of karma is, as you were saying, so everything we do has an effect. Everything we do matters. No action, however small, has a zero effect. And also, it doesn't work like math, two sides of an equation where we do X amount of bad things and X amount of Y things. There's no summing and finding the net effect. All of the effects are out there, whatever they are, and they interact with each other, however they will, in ways we couldn't even comprehend. But at the end of the day, what we do matters in ways we can never understand. And it doesn't have to be a butterfly effect type thing where you cause it, you don't have to save someone's life by your small act of kindness for it to matter. Yeah, that's enough.
Yeah. Everything we do matters, and everything we do in this physical world creates karma. And there's no escaping it. And that's sort of the bottom line here. And we're all here to learn how to create really joyous karma. So that's the practice. Good
That's why
karma.
Zen works, air quotes necessary. Anyone in the Zoom attendee roster? So we got Matt, Virginia, Heckman.
All right.
All right.
Service it is.
All right. Serve as it is.
All right.